There's some problems here. How much student loans do you have, by the way?
110,000.
Oh!
I used to be a single mom of 3, divorcee, and my plan was after I got the kids out of the house, because my budget was really tiny, to start tackling my student loan debt and purchase my house that I live in for my parents for what they put in it to get it going for me.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, and kids are out of the house now, so 2 years ago, I've remarried, and I knew my husband had some credit card debt from his prior marriage. However, and I know things have been tight since we've been married. It's like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, robbing Paul to pay Mary. And after listening to y'all for the last couple of weeks, I'm here like, I can do this, do the budgeting app, the every dollar, the free version.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this. However, we sat down. He's got 22 credit cards.
Pause. Time. All right. Couple of things that immediately come to my mind. We know from the title he's got 22 cards. So at this point, the shock and awe, okay? Here's the thing. First off, how many times must we remind ourselves? How many times? Who causes our financial situation? We do. We cause our financial situation. Rarely is our situation caused by other people. We cause it. One of the ways that we cause it is who we choose to share finances with. In other words, this woman, what's her name? I'm not as good as memorizing their names. I want to say Christy. I hope I'm right, okay? In other words, this caller chose to marry someone, by her own words, okay, paraphrasing here, that she knew had debt. What I question, though, she was a single mom, 3 kids. Now, I don't know if she chose to divorce or if her husband chose to divorce. Statistically, she's the one that would have chosen divorce. But that's statistics, okay? And statistics aren't always consistent, okay? Like, in my case, I didn't choose to divorce. My ex-husband chose to divorce. So we can't just say, it's always, the woman who divorces. But statistically speaking, okay, it would not surprise me if she with the 3 kids chose to divorce. But that aside, I somehow wonder, because things were probably very financially difficult for her, she had 3 kids, single mom, if she didn't feel some sense of pressure to get married, to hook up with someone that she thought maybe could help improve her situation. And the fact that her husband has 22 credit cards, how much did she know about his spending habits? 22 credit cards is an outrageous number, at least in my book, on the average, what is a public service income. And they can tackle it together, sure. But this 22 credit cards, there's something more going on up here in the husband's brain.
Ay. Well, how much does it
Well, that's
total?
an oh crap
And
moment.
we got his car. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's an oh crap moment.
Yeah, so this is where a lot of our money's going to.
You think?
No. Okay, so we, I shouldn't say no, but yes. We did a video the other day on Dave Ramsey, and it was the guy with the truck, like $750 a month payment. Not just yesterday. You guys know all these. I added up how many videos I've done. Holy cow. I mean, it runs on pages at this point, okay? Off track here for just a second, but to know how I keep track of all these videos, I actually log the titles. All the Ramsey videos have titles, and I literally keep a running log of all the titles I've done, and then I just do a quick title search in case I think I've done it before. That's why I keep track of all of them. But I'm like, oh, good Lord, I've done this many videos. But we did a video just the other day, and Dave says, I think I found the problem. Well, I think here we have found the problem. 22 credit cards. I would really, really like to know, maybe they'll get into it. I don't know, but I would really, really like to know how much of this did she really know about before she got married?
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Christy.
How much does that?
How much does he
Equal.
owe on these 22 credit cards?
$18,000.
And I guess he knew this.
It could have been worse. I was afraid it was going to be, oh, he owes, 90,000. It could be worse. It could be worse. It's still a heck of a lot of money, and it's spread out over 22 cards.
I'm assuming he did.
I hope he did.
Wait, let me rewind that last little part. Hold on here. I'm still getting over the 22 cards part.
2 credit cards.
$18,000.
And I guess he knew this.
I'm assuming he did.
I hope he.
That's the problem. This is the problem. Finances and relationships. You cannot assume that the other person knew. And I think what also happens, the fact that she said, I assume he does, what does this tell us? What is the common theme? Okay? What is the common theme in so many of these bedtime stories? Especially, it seems like in this last week, it's just been an overabundance of it. Or maybe it's been like that all along. We're just becoming more familiar with it. These spouses don't talk to each other. They don't talk to each other. There's a fear of talking to each other. Because you see, when you talk to each other, whether it's about your relationship, whether it's about money, whatever, then the truth starts to come out. That's what it's all about. So by avoiding the discussion, we can avoid the truth. Been there, done that. Both in money and relationships. That's what winds up happening. I assume he did. Well, he's your husband. You're married to this guy. It should be definitively, yes, I knew this at the time that I got married. We were very clear on our finances. By the fact that she's saying, I assume he did, tells me that she is partially to blame in that she probably didn't really want the answer. I'm not saying she's at fault for his debt, okay? But she holds some responsibility in, did she really want the answer? Or did she just kind of casually say, well, you've got some debt? And he said, yeah. And she's like, well, can you manage it okay? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, good, don't tell me anymore. There are people who don't really want the full answer. Because the full answer would be not just a wake-up call, but it might hurt. It might make them realize that something isn't working, that something's not right, that something has to change. And it's those changes that people are trying to avoid. And I'm talking everything from your relationship to your money to your job, the whole 9 yards. So when she says, I assume he knows, well, that means they don't really know each other. Right? They don't. If you're saying, I assume he knows, you don't really know. So that means you don't really know each other. You don't communicate financially. I'm going to bet that this will be, I hate to say it. Again, these type of relationships, knowing what I know today at 56 will not surprise me if it does not work out in the long run.
He did.
What was his reaction to your reaction?
He's like, well, maybe, after the holidays, take a debt consolidation loan and.
Yeah, because you can always borrow your way out of debt.
And a consolidation loan will increase it. That's like taking your mortgage and constantly refining it. Just constantly refi the mortgage. Just always keep refi, and it costs money to do that. I know people who I didn't know until I really got into a mortgage debt, and I did my own research. Refi can cost people thousands of dollars. Holy cow, I didn't know that. I do now.
Right.
That's dumb. Okay, what was his reaction?
Yeah.
Is he ashamed of this? Does he think it's stupid? Did he feel defensive?
He was kind of defensive on it a little bit because a lot of it he said came from his prior marriage.
So he's not. Is he currently using credit cards?
I want to know if she knew this when he got when she chose to marry him. That's what I want to know.
Is all old.
He used it this past weekend.
He's still using them.
Yeah.
Okay.
To put a battery in his car.
So you guys
Don't have the money for a car battery? What's that? $200? Maybe $300 if you have to have AAA come out, bail you out, put it in for you. Hey, I know enough about car batteries to don't pour a can of Coke on top of it and see what it does. All right, and positive, negative. All right, that's about all I know. And hook up to another car. I actually helped one very young couple years ago with their car battery. God love them. They had the battery all hooked up, okay? Positive to positive, negative to negative on one car. Okay? This was like years ago. I think it was in my 20s. What little mechanical stuff I know, and trust me, I know very little. I couldn't write it on a Post-it note. And I pulled up to their car and I was like, looks like you guys have a battery problem, because they had jumper cables, hanging off the side. So in other words, one end of the jumper cable was attached to their battery, positive, negative. But the other jumper cable was just hanging on the ground, dangling. And I said, do you guys need some help? And they were like, oh, sure. And I'm in my 20s, okay? They were like, oh, sure. And I said, can I give you a jump? And they were like, I kid you not, okay? Scouts on her. They said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I see you've got your end of the jumper cables attached to your car, but you're going to need another car to start the jump with. And I kid you not. Okay. They looked at me and they said, is this why we can't get the car to start? Oh, let me tell you, I never felt so mechanically smart in my life. And I said, how long you guys been standing here trying to start your car? They're like, well, we've been out here for like 20 minutes and we just can't get it started. Oh, God. Sorry, love this channel. Every now and then we got to take a little windy road down a different path, okay? Oh, heck, what were we talking about? Credit cards and stuff, okay? But I swear to God, that is a true story. I was like, that's why I pulled up, because I'm seeing these jumper cables just dangling off the edge of the car. It's like, and I had to politely explain to them, no, you need another car to start it. So we started using my car, to get the battery checked out and stuff. I followed them to their mechanic, told them, don't stop the car till you get to your mechanics, yada, yada. But now what the heck was I talking about? Oh, look at that. I got off track. I don't even remember. Okay, hold on. Let's get back on track.
He used it this past weekend.
He's still using them.
Oh, yes. The husband's still using his car. Now then, I want you to notice her tone. Okay? Tone says a lot. Oh, yes, he still is. You know what her tone is telling me? Okay? If I had to just read it, and again, you're talking to a person who's had a lot of money issues, all right? It tells me she knows, and she's trying very hard not to know more than she has to know, and she's trying even harder not to care. That's what it's actually telling me. Yeah, I know she's calling into the show and stuff, but really, okay, this is her second marriage, and she's trying very hard to absorb what is happening financially that she probably knew was going on, but she's just trying really hard not to pay too much attention to it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To put a battery in his car.
So you guys have some conversations.
That's how I got into the story, the battery in the car. You guys, thank you for sticking through this with me.
So what is your income and what is his income?
Okay.
Fingers
Mine is $33,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing DoorDash, so it's anywhere.
Why is he not working?
5 to 6 days a week.
Why has he not got a job?
That's a good question.
Okay, technically DoorDash is a job. How many times we heard Dave say go deliver pizzas or whatever. Okay, but oh, people, the tea is hot tonight. People, there's just I think as someone who has had issues with debt, who when I was married, I can tell you in any relationship I've had, my whole life, not just when I was married, any relationship I've ever had, I never discussed debt with the person I was living with, ever. I mean, never sat down and said, okay, here's the budget. What do you have? What do I have? Let's make this work. I don't even think I had a concept of it, to be totally honest. Okay? I don't even think I had a concept of it. But knowing what I know now, knowing what I know today, putting what I've lived through, these sorts of things are painful to us because we look at someone who's clearly out of debt with their spending. And part of us is going, okay, well, at least if you're going to be out of debt with your spending, could you please make a decent income so we can get the heck out of this as fast as possible? And then you find out he works for DoorDash, right? And if I'm correct, isn't he divorced? Yeah, he's divorced, prior relationship. So a part of us is like, okay, we understand you have this debt. We understand you've screwed it up, yada, yada. But please, we're just praying, please have at least a decent income, decent career. And then we hear it's DoorDash and we just kind of go, oh my God. And not that we are criticizing DoorDash drivers, okay? Not that we're doing that. But it's the same thing with me if I look at my student loan debt, okay? $110,000 student loan is what I had till it was forgiven. 2022. And you're thinking, oh my God, please tell me she's not a public service worker. Then you find out I'm a school teacher. Okay. It's the same thing. The dollars may change, but the stress of the debt that's owed doesn't change. So, and then let's be really honest. Let's get absolute honest here. Part of us also goes DoorDash, and part of us goes loser. I said it. I'm not saying DoorDash people are losers, just like school teachers aren't losers. What I'm saying is we have connotations. We have things that I teach my students. We have things that we immediately think of when we hear and see things. I've been teaching that to my students for years, trying to get them to get that concept. Not saying that DoorDash people or school teachers, okay, are losers. But what I am saying is, what if we think of school teachers, what do we automatically think of? Broke. That's what we think of when we think of school teachers. Educated, but broke. When we think of DoorDash, you know, especially as we get older. And I think because of the fact that this is an older person, he's married, divorced, they've got kids. We would like to think that they have aspired to something a little bit higher than simply DoorDash. DoorDash is great for the college kid who just needs some extra grub, okay, to get through. But we don't see it as great when you are divorced. You've got, you know, an ex-spouse that you might have some obligations to. You're running up 22 freaking credit cards. All right. And even your wife in this situation, she makes in the low 30s. So between DoorDash and, you know, a low paying job, that's what it is. And that's what makes us cringe, because we know today that's not what we would want.
He likes working on his own, he says.
Did he have a job when you met him, or he was doing this when you met him?
Whenever I met him, he was doing Lyft and Uber in Nashville.
Okay, so she met him like this. How much of our financial situation is created by the people we have chosen to associate with? How much? Probably most of it. We can put stops to it, but we choose not to. Low self-esteem, perhaps. We think the person's going to rescue us, perhaps. I've been there. Not criticizing that part. Don't mistake that part. All right? She met him like that. I met a person who couldn't pay their rent in one of my relationships. Actually, I think probably more than one. I met someone that couldn't pay their rent. Still chose to date them anyways. Would I do that today? Oh, heck no. Nah. You would not get my name and number, or I would tell you to take it back the minute I found out you can't pay your rent. It's just the things that we are willing to accept for whatever reason. And then we shouldn't be surprised because the person doesn't come through.
And making $1,200 a week on that.
Let's see if it's gross.
Gross before taxes, gasoline,
Yeah.
and wear and tear on the car.
Right. So he's probably, let's just take away $500 right off the butt, right off the, what is it? Right off, can't even think of my words. Okay. Right off the cuff. Right off the cuff. I would take off $500 right off the cuff. You got gas, insurance, because you have to insure that. It's an Uber. Okay. Taxes. Yeah. So 8, 9, 10, let's say we were generous. It's $800 a week. That's being generous. I'm not even sure if it would be that much.
Exactly.
And here's the other thing. How many ladies, again, I'm not insulting, okay? But we're going to, well, man or women, I don't think it would really even matter. How many of us by a certain age really want to date an Uber driver? See, that's fine in my opinion for the young folk, or even for older folks that are just looking for a couple extra bucks. You're just looking for a few extra bucks. Nothing wrong with that. I do childcare as my part-time gig. Yes, babysitting practically. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The side gigs aren't the concern. It's the main gig. It's the main gig that we worry about. And she said he likes to work for himself. Oh, well, that's wonderful. He apparently does. He has 22 credit cards to prove it. Remember, this was just 12 hours ago. I try to keep some of this content current for you. We hear current content and we learn from past content. This is the great thing about debt. There's no time frame.
He might be breaking even.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's some problems here. How much student loans do you have, by the way?
$110,000.
Tea, hot tea. I think we have just spilled the tea. Now, for those of you who may be walking, because I know some of you exercise and walk to this, Ramsey has already got his head in his hand. All right. I am telling you, can't even see his face. Oh my goodness. Hot tea. I think the tea just spilled. The tea has spilled. Mayday, mayday. Yes. 22 credit cards, $18,000. Let's see. We have 100 whatever in student loans. Oh, when Ramsey's head is in his hand, you know right then and there, religion probably can't even save him. Hold on. Let's do it again.
Okay. So there's some problems here. How much student loans do you have, by the way?
$110,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
The exact amount I had to the penny that was forgiven in 2022.
So sometimes when we get into debt, it's as easy as saying, all right, I make my budget and I cut back here and there, and over time I'm out of it. And then sometimes there's more to the equation where there's an income side of it where you can side hustle till you're blue in the face and you're going to be working it forever. And in that case, that's kind of where you guys are. Your core income is not where it should be.
She married a loser of a husband. I'm glad I'm not married to somebody like that. You should be glad you're not married to someone like that too. She chose to marry this guy. See, now that's hitting it hardcore. What of you out there in the audience want this guy for your husband? You want him? Any takers? Back row? Back row? No. See, sometimes we have to really be brutally honest with ourselves. We have to ask ourselves a question. What do we have to offer someone that wants to be with us? Oh, actually, no, excuse me. What do we have to offer? What do you have to offer someone that you want to be with? That's what I meant to say. So you say you want to be with this person. What are you going to offer them? And let's not get in all that, but it's all about the love aspect of it. Okay? Love don't pay the bills. One of the things that really, really has helped to motivate me to not only become debt-free, but remain debt-free. I really, really want that whomever, I should marry next, because I definitely do want to get remarried. Okay. I want to have something to offer him. Yeah. I want him to know that I'm not there to take him down. I am 56. I am past the age of going, but love is going to take care of all that. Yeah, okay, let's say that for the 20-year-olds. They got a whole lot more time on their hand. They can figure all that out. Okay? But if I really think about it, one of the reasons I've been so gazelle intensity, as Ramsey would say, on really fixing up my finances, especially after, I got divorced 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, was, I want to offer something to a future spouse to let them know that, you know what, I got your back. I have your back. This is really important to me. Okay, now it may not be important to everybody, but the financial struggles that I have been through in my life, between the bankruptcies, the car repossessions, yada, yada, okay, I've come to realize that, on a second marriage, which is what it would be for me, I want the guy to know, I got you. I have your back. You have someone you can talk to about money. You have someone that's not going to take you down financially. Yeah, I know we love each other and yada, yada. That's great. But that alone isn't going to tie us together if we can't communicate about issues and problems. If we can't talk about what's happening, if he has kids, can he talk to me about them? Because I don't have kids. Of course, yes, he can talk to me about kids. If he loses a job, is struggling financially on his end, what do I have to offer to help bring him up? It's one of the reasons that I really, really fought to clean up I wanted to clean up my plate. I wanted to make sure my finances were clean. Because I can't expect it of somebody else if I can't do it myself. You see what I mean? It's really important to me. This guy here, what did he really have to offer this woman? And the more important question is, why did she feel this was all she could get? Something to think about.
And the challenge
Right.
here is for both of you guys to really begin looking at what's it going to take for me to get my income higher. I mean,
Whose student loans are these? I don't think we ever found out. This is a train wreck. And it's hard enough with the debt. But the fact that he has 22 credit cards, these aren't going to be the last credit cards. A grown man can't afford a battery for his car. Now, again, I've been broke too. I've been broke too, where, I get it. But the fact that he has 22 credit cards versus just one or two.
33,000 is the average is 67,000. So you see where you're at on that spectrum.
What do you do for a living?
They're talking about her pay. If I'm correct, she makes 33,000. If I'm correct, that's what the discussion is.
Customer service for an
Who got
insurance
$110,000
agency.
worth of student loans?
Who?
That's me.
And getting
So she has the 110,000. All of a sudden, his $18,000 credit card looks good. Bring on the credit card debt. I'd rather have the 22 credit cards at 18,000. So now we have. So she has $110,000 student loan. She's making $33 an hour in customer service. Well, let's retake that again.
Where you're at on that spectrum.
What do you do for a living?
Customer service for an
Who got
insurance
$110,000 worth
agency.
of student loans?
That's me.
And getting a degree in what?
Psychology and counseling, because that was the quickest thing I could get. I've always wanted to teach.
And why are you not utilizing that in some way?
I really don't know if any job in our little local area for that degree.
So in other words, she neither one of these people are doing their homework. Jeez. I didn't know of any jobs there, then why go get the degree if you're not willing to move to jobs that would be available in certain areas? They're in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, I can imagine Louisville, Kentucky might if you're going to counseling. And what do we know about public service? Okay, $110,000 for public service degrees. Oh, you know, it's bedtime stories like this that I crawl in bed in my, I will admit, somewhat high-end bed sheets, and they're paid for. Bought on sale, always, 65% off. But I'm glad I've learned the lessons that I've learned so that I won't repeat them. That's what I'm most grateful for. And I've not repeated them.
Yeah.
without getting a master's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be true. Psychology degrees, counseling, you typically need a master's to get anywhere. And this is the sad part. Because the pay will not be in relation to what it costs you to get the degree. You'll be upside down. That's why they have public service loan forgiveness. Knowing what I know about counseling degrees, psychology degrees in general, most people I know, they have to get a master's to get anywhere. But that's kind of messed up, isn't it? You have to go in debt to get a master's to do the job, and the job doesn't pay enough. Just like with teaching. Just like with teaching. But I think counseling, psychology are even worse because you pretty much need to have a master's. So that 110 needs to become probably closer to add on another 50 grand for the master's. Okay. Add on that. Then maybe she can get a job. Now you telling me what public service counseling or even private counseling, psychology job is going to pay off that. Because remember, when you take out a student loan, you cannot say you've gotten a pay raise until that student loan is paid for. If the student loan has not been paid for, you cannot claim that you got a pay raise. And people oftentimes will conveniently ignore that. They'll say, oh, yay, I got a pay raise. Because you're looking at, me, the dumb. Okay, I did that too. I'm guilty. All these things I've learned, folks, is just because I've made the same stupid mistakes. Okay. I remember thinking, okay, well, I'll just go and get myself a master's degree. It'll make me more money. But stupid me didn't realize you can't pay off that debt. The job doesn't pay enough. So people go get their master's degree and then they claim they got a pay raise. But meanwhile, they're holding on to a, six-figure student loan.
It is probably limited because if you're going to do counseling, in most states you do have to have a master's. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of things you can use psychology for.
She sounds very depressed, and if I were her, I'd be depressed too. This is one of those I'd be pretty much depressed at the state of my life. I'm just speaking reality. I would be depressed too. I'd be very depressed. Been there.
For instance, you could move into the marketing area of a company and make 3 times what you're making. So,
but is she motivated to? See, I think sometimes what happens is people will say, well, I want to do this career. It's like they've got it in their mind. They're going to enter this career. They're going to make great strides. And then they do get into it, but they're really not all that motivated. Is she really all that motivated? If she could divorce her husband, okay, let's just say hypothetically, if she could divorce her husband, who she can't seem to talk to, would she have the motivation to take the 3 kids, pack up and leave? Me says no. And at this point, the husband's $18,000 debt's looking pretty darn good.
Jade's right. How old are you two? Your kids are grown. You're 40 or 50.
Yeah, I'm 46. He's fixing to turn 50.
Okay. All right. So this is the time that you all have the first most lucrative careers of your lives, and the both of you have to decide what that is and start working on it.
They won't. You know how come I know they won't? Because to change your financial position doesn't actually start with the money. It starts with a mindset. If you can't change your mindset, you can't change your financial position. At least not that I am aware of. And not for the long term. And her husband's mindset, from what she says, he likes to work for himself. Damn the rest of other responsibilities. And that's why he's working for Grubhub or DoorDash. All right. Her mindset, I think she's so depressed right now, she can't think clearly. Because she kind of has a double-edged sword. One, she's got this deadbeat husband. And then she herself has her own $110,000 student loan that either she did or did not do her homework on, how good the job would pay in her area. And then you need to have a master's degree to get anywhere. And I think it's shameful that you have to have a master's degree to get anywhere for that, because the job pays like crap compared to what you're expected to bring in education-wise. I'd say it's actually, like I said, it's worse than teaching.
You don't want to be an 80-year-old Uber driver.
Mm-hmm.
But he's setting up to be. He's setting up to be broke at retirement because, like I said, her husband has the mindset of he's going to do it his way, to hell or damn with anybody else. All right? He's not going to work for the good of this relationship. If he were doing that, they wouldn't have to call in. The most they'd be calling in for is, okay, my husband and I, we are gazelle intensity. And we just want to, make sure we got some guidance here. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is she's depressed. Her husband clearly isn't going to do jack to help her from what we can tell. All right. And then she herself is living very much, I suspect, in denial about how bad things really are. That's why I say I'm always impressed when, they answer the phone. It's like, so how you doing? It's like, oh, well, I'm just doing great. I'd be in tears.
This is not a plan. You don't want to be doing DoorDash at 76. This is not a plan. You don't want to be in customer service at 76.
$110,000 degree to do, I think she said, customer service. It kind of caught off at the end, but it sounded like she might have said insurance or something like that. She's in a general customer service job. You don't need a $110,000 degree to become a customer service phone rep, desk rep, whatever.
Especially when you're looking at $110,000 in student loans and $18,000 in credit cards, and everything you do, like put a battery in your car, looks like more credit card debt. Mm-hmm. Something's got to change. Would you agree?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I'm with Jade. I think you guys do need to get on the same page, and I think you need to make a commitment to borrow no more and to begin to reduce these debts, and you're going to have to rethink both of your careers.
Here's the thing. I love what Dave says, but what I know is they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. I totally agree. Dave's right. They need to rethink their jobs. But the husband seems very, and I may be jumping here. The husband seems very self-absorbed. Okay? Now, again, we're getting her side. We always have to remember that. We always have to remember we're getting her side, okay? But the fact that he's in his 50s and is driving, like I said, doing a job that, it should either be a side gig to a main job or a gig for college students. Okay. Any college student, hey, I drive for DoorDash and Uber. Well, wonderful. Have a good time at it. Okay. Or you're my age and you just want a little side gig. What I also suspect both of them are kind of magnetically attracted to, this is just a suspicion. I'm surprised how many people seem to have a slightly lazy streak. There are people out there, folks, that just don't want to work that hard. Yeah, they know they have a problem. They call into the show to say that they have a problem. They're given, oftentimes, great advice, okay? Even if the advice is basic, 101, we all need a starting point. But I think what has surprised me, even in being a reaction channel, okay? Even in becoming a reaction channel, and I'm listening to all these calls, all right? I think maybe it shouldn't surprise me, but it does. There are a lot of lazy ass people out there that say they want to change their life, but Dave and Jade and the crew are all saying, here's how to do it. Go do it. Take that first step. And darn well they're not going to do it. Because for many people, It's the idea of debt freedom. It's the idea of being able to control your finances, even if you're not debt free. It's the idea that they are in love with. It is not actually going out and doing the work that they are in love with. It's the idea of being able to communicate with a partner about your finances, the kids, or wherever the problems and issues are, but it can't actually be done. And I think this is something that I don't know why it surprises me, but damn, if there aren't a lot of lazy people when it comes to managing their money. They want it verbally, but they won't put the action to it. I can pretty much bet you a paycheck. There's no way. This ran 12 hours ago. There is no way this guy is going to say, sure, I will go ahead. We're going to sit down. We're going to map out our plan. We're going to get rid of our debt. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to start looking for God knows what career, but, depending upon his background and whatever experience he's had, if he's been door dashing for 10 years, I don't know really where he could go. But technically, okay, we're going to sit down. We're going to discuss this together. I don't see him being that type of guy. And I think part of what they were probably attracted to each other for, perhaps, okay, like I said, I think she, perhaps, 3 kids. I can't remember if they said they had 3 kids at the time, because their kids are mainly grown because they are in their 50s. She's in her mid to late 40s. He's in his 50s. But it's almost like when you're broke, you get attracted to other broke people. Because you know what I think it is? It's the energy that you put out. Have you ever noticed it's like, alcoholics get attracted to alcoholics and broke people get attracted to broke people, yada, yada. Not saying that's always the case, all right? But it's that energy that you put out. I don't see this couple. This will absolutely not surprise me if down the road they too shall be divorced. It just will not surprise me. It's because it's the lack of the ability to communicate with each other. That to me is what it is. Oh my goodness.
Because you're going to struggle. This is going to be very hard 20 years in front of you. Mm-hmm. Very difficult.
Oops, hold on.
You guys do not deal with this core issue.
Mm-hmm. And they won't deal with it. They will not deal with it. I can bet you a paycheck that most of the callers that we hear on this show do not solve their problem. Not because they weren't given good advice. It's that the work is too hard. The work is too hard.
You can try to ignore it, but it's the elephant in the room. It's going to stomp around and leave the furniture broken.
Yeah.
The one thing that I can honestly say for all the F-ups I've ever had money, the one thing I have done right was plan my retirement. Even though I don't have a big old wad of cash and I only recently in September started putting away 30%, okay, I do have 18 years into a pension. I will have Social Security. By the time I retire, I should have around 30. Actually, the year that I can collect Social Security, 67, that will be my 30th year of teaching. Okay, 30% to retirement. In other words, I got my ducks organized enough that I will be okay. I should be fine. But guys, that started in my early 30s. For all the financial mishaps I've had, the one thing I've done right is I knew enough to know I had to get my act together. And I need to get it together for sure. 100% for sure by the time I was 40. Because I knew that to be able to get into a job with a pension or any sort of significant savings, I knew that rock bottom, I needed 25 years in a career. I knew this. Not 20 years. I needed 25 years. Just before I turned 38, I think about 3 weeks before my 38th birthday, I landed my teaching job. Yeah, that's how close. But I knew that. This couple, she's 46. He's in his 50s. This is the type of couple that I could see living in absolute poverty in retirement. You know how you read about seniors living in their cars? Oh, yeah, it happens. It happens. And your kids don't want you living with them. That's just the God's honest truth. And you probably don't want to live with your kids.
Is this making sense to you?
Yeah.
You've
Yeah,
avoided
it
this
does.
and kicked the can down the road as long as you can.
Yes.
And now the can has come home and hit you in the back of the head like a boomerang.
To give you some perspective, she's 46, 47. I was, then I 41, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was about 9 years into a teaching job. Okay, I was about 9 years, 38. I am 41, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, 9. I told you I'm bad at math. Do not come to this channel because you're looking for math quality. Okay, I suck at math, all right? So, 9. Although I can figure out shopping percentages pretty darn fast. You know, when you go shopping, I've taught people how to do shopping percentages. I guess we learn the math we want, right? But yeah, let's just say 8 years. I was already 8 years into my teaching job at the age she's at. You have to plan this stuff in your early 30s. And as far as I'm concerned, you better be on the ball with it by the time you're 40. Because if you figure, you know, at least in my age bracket, okay, born in 1967, we can retire at 67. So if you've got your act together by 40, you still got 27, 28 years. That's enough time with enough, you know, planning and frugality, yada, yada, okay? I had my act together by 38. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we aren't willing to admit what debt and finances we carry.
Mm-hmm.
$110,000 on student loan debt. How long ago were you in school?
Graduated 2009.
Yeah,
No, 13.
15 years was my guess. I wasn't far off. Okay.
15 years. So guess what the value is to her degree? Like, in other words, I don't know much about psychology and counseling, but 15 years, and from what I gather, she's never practiced in it. That was a waste. That was 100, and it's accumulating, 110,000 and growing. I pray to God it was federal loans, not private. Not that would really almost darn near matter at this point.